Hi, I'm Tristan Ward, head developer of the CpExtra Captivate widget. We have just released a new version of the widget, version 1.3, and I'm here to show you some of the new features inside of this widget. Now, the feature I want to show you in this video is the xinfoEventTarget variable. Now, this is not a feature for basic users of Captivate. This is more for people who use advanced actions in tandem with CpExtra's event listener features. Now, if you're not familiar with either of those or familiar with how CpExtra works, then I recommend you go and check out our Up and Running with CpExtra video course, which should be up and running on our website fairly soon. Now, for the moment, let's just go ahead and have a look at this new feature, and I'll try to explain the features as we come across them. Okay, so here I have a slide, and I'll just hide my timeline here for a moment. It has got all these different shapes on it. Now, what I would like to do is whenever in the output I click on one of these shapes, it is hidden. Now, if we were just doing this with Captivate, this would mean we'd have to create a lot of click boxes and put a click box over the top of each one of these shapes and then change each of those click boxes' success actions to hide the shape that is underneath it. And that would be very time consuming. But with CpExtra, this can be very quick to build. Now, before I go on, I want to show you how each of these smart shapes has a very similar name. You can see there's Smart Shape 1 or Smart Shape 2, Smart Shape 3. All the smart shapes on this slide who we want to hide when we click them follow this same naming pattern, and this can be very useful for us. So what we want to do is first of all detect when we click on any one of these smart shapes. And this can be done using CpExtra's xcmnd add event listener command variable. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to close down the timeline now. I'll select nothing on stage so that the properties panel shows the slides properties. Now I'm going to choose an on enter action for this slide. I will choose the assign action, and I want to assign something to the xcmnd add event listener variable. Now, this is not just a typical Captivate user variable. This is actually a variable that has a special relationship with CpExtra. When we assign a value to this variable, we are actually telling the CpExtra widget to do something. So what is it we want to do? Okay, we want to do something whenever we click on one of these smart shapes. Okay, so first we need to tell CpExtra that we are interested in these smart shapes. So I could type out the name of one of them, smart shape _1, but it's not just that smart shape. I'm also interested in smart shape 2 and smart shape 3. Well, we can tell CpExtra to do this action in batch on all of those smart shapes by typing this out, smart shape _at. This at is a wildcard. It means that anything could be there, whether it be a number or just a really long set of letters. It doesn't really matter. So all these objects here on slide, all 12 of these shapes, are going to have this same event listener added to them. Okay, so now we've selected essentially all these smart shapes. What is it we want to do? Well, we want to know when they are clicked on. So I'm going to put in a comma so that I can write a new parameter, a new piece of information. And I'm going to write out click, C-L-I-C-K. Now, this is the name of a particular event. So we're saying when we click on any of these smart shapes, we want something to happen. What do we want to happen? Well, we want to execute an action. So we need to tell CpExtra where it can find that action. And at the moment, the only way we can do that is by pointing it in the direction of a button or a text entry box or some other interactive object which has success or failure actions to them. So in a moment, I will create a button called button, all lowercase, and I want to execute its success action. Okay, let's go and create that button now. I am going to go here to interactions. I'll create a new button, and that will appear in the middle of the stage here. Up here, I'm going to have to change its name to button, all lowercase, so that it now matches what we have written here. And now I need to define its success action, because that's the action that will happen whenever we click on one of these shapes. So I will go back to my button. I'm going to the Actions submenu. And from here, well, let's just see whether this is working to start off with. So I'm going to use a little bit of a JavaScript hack in order to make an alert box appear whenever we click. So now that I'm here, I'll type out a little bit of JavaScript. And you don't have to concern yourself with what the JavaScript is, because this is not a lesson about that. But it will just make an alert appear that says something was clicked. Okay. An alert being one of those little windows that a browser suddenly pops up and you just have to click OK to close it down. Okay, I'm also going to uncheck this continue playing the project checkbox here. Okay, so let's see if this works. Well, first of all, I will just hide this button here from the export so we don't see it. It's not very pretty. Then I will go up here to Preview, HTML5 in Browser, and this is going to allow us to see the result of what we have already built. So here's the preview of our project, and I will go and click on one of these smart shapes here. And you can see whenever we click on one of them, it shows one of these little alert boxes here. Okay, so how can I change this action so that instead of showing alert boxes when I click on a slide object, it instead hides that slide object? Well, that is a little bit difficult because, well, it's easy enough for me to create an action which hides a smart shape, but how do I know which smart shape was clicked? Well, that's been very hard to be able to tell apart until now. This is what xinfoEventTarget allows us to know. So if I click OK to this alert, minimize back into Captivate, let's have a look at what this xinfoEventTarget's variable value is. I'm going to select that caption up the top there, and then I want to display a variable inside of it. So I'm going to choose to display the xinfoEventTarget variable. I will click OK to that, and then let's go back to Preview, HTML5 in Browser, and then see what happens when we click on each of these smart shapes. So here we are. I'm going to click on this first smart shape up here, and you can see for one, it did show that alert, but also up here, xinfoEventTarget changed its value to the name of that smart shape who we clicked. So if I go and click the next one, you can see it's now smart shape 2. The next one down is smart shape 3. If I click the last one, that one is smart shape 12. Okay, so that is telling us the information we need to know, which object was just clicked. So now what we need to do is somehow get that information into a hide action. Now, unfortunately, Captivate's native hide actions does not allow us to assign it the value of a variable. However, CpExtra's xcmnd hide command variable now does. This is a new thing in version 1.3 as well. So I will minimize this window. I'm going to go back to that button, and I'm going to change this on success action to instead assign this variable here, xcmnd hide, with this value, xinfoEventTarget. So that is the name of a variable, not the name of a slide object, but its value will always hold the name of the object that was last clicked. So I'm going to press enter to that, and let's preview again in HTML5 in Browser. And I'm quite excited to see how this works actually. So here we are again. Now I'm going to go click on this shape here, and you can see that it was hidden and that its value was also set up here in xinfoEventTarget. So if I click on any of these shapes now, I'm able to hide them all. And this does not require any advanced actions. It does not require any conditional actions. It is just really easy and straightforward to set up. Now, this xinfoEventTarget variable does not only work for click actions, it also works for, well, any event listeners that we use. So if I go back to Captivate, I select nothing on stage and then decide, okay, you know what, I don't want to hide these shapes when I click on them. I want to hide them when I roll over them. Well, all I have to do is change that click to roll over. And now I'm going to go and preview HTML5 in browser again. And let's see whether that has changed anything. Here we are again. Now I'm going to go and roll over the first one. And you can see just by rolling over these objects, I am able to hide them. And that was really easy to set up. Okay, so that is xinfoEventTarget. It makes working with @syntax and CpExtra's event listeners much more useful. There are a lot of powerful things you can do with this, and I'm looking forward to making some more lessons in the future which shows you some of the things that are possible. So like I said, this was partly made possible due to CpExtra's @syntax feature. However, in version 1.3 of CpExtra, there is a new kind of @syntax, and I will show you that in another video, which I will release next week. So stay tuned to the Info Semantics newsletter to see that video when it comes out.